Everybody welcome. Oh, my face is on camera. Everybody welcome to the pigsty tonight. Tonight we have Nez Lover, who is a little tiny channel over where I go and hide when all you folks get far too much for me. It's my safe zone. So, Nez, if you want to just do a wee introduction and let everybody know who you are.
Hello, my name's Nez Lover. I come from one of the many sectors of the bottom of YouTube. And a lot of drama with trolls. That's how I met Mathpig. And maybe we'll talk about that later. But I have fun with my art in many different ways. I do mixed media. I do oils, drawings, chalk. I work in a lot of stuff. I have natural talent as well as many, many years of classes under my belt. So I do work by commission. I can make all kinds of things. I can draw anybody. So
yeah, from watching you, you definitely, you know, it is an art channel, and it's a decent art channel. It's not one of these, like, you're not scribbling with a piece of paper or anything like that. You know, it is actually, you spend your time, you get down and you get it done. Like, and the music's good. It's a nice, relaxed atmosphere. As I say, it's always somewhere I feel safe and nice and relaxed going to after we scream and shout at each other in this community and shout names and and it's just, no, fuck this.
I get enough of that elsewhere, so I try to keep my channel nice and calm.
Yes, so that's to say, I think Nez, I think I found Fart from the Fart community through the old Stonard from God the Good One, and then through old Stonard. I think that's how I found you.
Yes, and I used to be affiliated with the F''ART movement, but since it turned into something not so nice, I had to formally renounce that. And F''ART is now contraband in Nez Studios. We don't say that word in Nez Studios. As long as it means negative right now, then I can't abide by it. So, and that's made a lot of heads roll and a lot of things change, certainly. But we're still carrying on. We can have fun with our art with any club affiliation whatsoever.
What made you, like, you know, obviously you're into the art and stuff like that there. Did you want a release, Nez, to come out and draw online? Or what made you start the channel itself?
Well, I came to the tubes. I first just watched without having an active channel. And the person who started me doing it is the same person who's doing the F''ART club right now. We're at odds. Or, you know, he sees me as an enemy or an adversary or I don't know what. You know, this is somebody I care about, had a good friendship with for a while, and it just went stupid. So oddly enough, the person who's at odds with me right now is the person I credit for where I'm at right now in a lot of ways.
No, well,
how about that?
Yeah, well, see, these things happen. You know, it does happen. Whenever you come on, I was something similar. You live in the chat for a while, you say your bits and bobs, you find people that you enjoy, and then you want to actually stretch, and, you know, it's easier to communicate like this. You know, personally, from my point of view, I've been in the chat for years, maybe a couple of months or so, and torturing you to come on, to have this conversation, you know, to get to know you better, like, because it's a very one-sided sort of thing. Whenever, even though you can say in the chat, hello, how are you, and you'll say hello back and stuff, it is still very one-sided, because I get a sentence and you can go on for a paragraph. So it's nice to get back and forth and have this dialogue.
It is. It really is. And there's something to be lost in translation, most certainly, when you are dealing in text messaging, private messaging. Even bits and clips does not accurately serve as a means of effective communication. The tones of our voice, our facial expressions are things that are lost with this, most certainly.
Yes, I have a very bad habit, and even within this last 2 days, both the girlfriend and my mother have came at me and went, have I done something wrong? What the fuck have I done wrong? And I'm like, nothing. And he's like, read your text. And I'm like, it just says what it says. It doesn't...
Right, but it's all about the tone. You know, you can say a sentence and have it mean many different things just by the way you look or by the way you breathe, by the way you sound. You know, that's a beautiful part of language that we miss out on just by relying on, you know, sound bites and texts.
Yes, I would be very into reading people's bodies and things like that, and I get a lot of response. You know, I would read them better than that, and their mannerisms. Text is no good. Text to me is just words on a page. It has no connotation behind it, like.
Right, and I think if people are resorting to that as a default communication for people that they call friends or they're close with, I think they're doing themselves a disservice. You know, even when you can send a video clip of yourself speaking and they can hear you, that's better than just relying on plain old text, especially autocorrect, which can make you say all kinds of things that you didn't say. Yeah, watch that autocorrect, man. You
Yes.
can get into trouble from that.
Well, Nez, as you do know, on this channel, we always do sort of go into the hard questions and the sort of stuff like that there. So,
Yes, sir.
we'll jump straight in with it and we'll just get it out there. This would be known as an atheist channel, but you are a Christian yourself. Yes, you would identify as a Christian, yes?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Have you always been a Christian?
I was brought up in the Lutheran Church, and anybody who knows anything about the Lutheran Church knows that it's a break off of the Catholic Church. And if you know anything about the Catholic Church, that's basically a cover for worship of Semiramis and Tammuz. That's really, when you see statues of Mary and Christ, that's really what they're representing. So that's pagan and Freemasonic in its origins. So no, I don't follow any man-made denomination per se. If you read the scriptures, Christ, we are the church, the people, the believers themselves. That's how I believe. I don't go to a building anymore. I don't need to associate with this denomination or that. In my belief, those were created to divide us and not unite us.
Yes,
Christ met with his apostles in their homes.
My mother would be very much of that sort of mindset. She's like, she would consider herself religious and consider herself a Christian, but as yourself, wouldn't say I belong to this church or any church like that. She's like, God's everywhere. Why do I have to go and sit in a building with a load of boring people and sing stupid songs?
You don't. Isn't that great? You don't have to do that.
That's...
I avoid church religiously.
Especially, I don't know now, especially Catholic churches, there's an awful lot of standing up and sitting down. It's a fucking lot of hassle.
A bunch of nonsense. And you're doing rituals when you're there. Ever look at some of the decorations inside of some of these church buildings? There's a definite pagan prominence in the architecture, Freemasonic influence in the architecture. The symbols that you see up in a lot of churches, I mean, they're not good, and they're certainly not of Christ.
I would see that with a lot of churches now. This in particular, the story I'm going to say, was a Catholic church, but I do see it with an awful lot of modern churches that they're reaching out to try and, scoop everybody in. Obviously, the churches can be... they have their opinions on what certain things and certain people should do, and as time moves on and society moves on, the church is sort of catching up ever so slightly, and it is more reaching out. Whenever my wee girl was getting christened, there was an ankh on one of the things on the wall. Like, there was multiple ankhs. It looked like they went to a one religion suits all shop. Now, it was a modern church, a modern chapel. It was only maybe 10 or 15 years old. You can go to the old ones. I think old churches are beautiful buildings as well. But, they don't have that. In saying that, though, if you say that the Catholics and Catholicism is a pagan religion, there's an awful lot of Catholics out there, though, that would disagree with you.
There are. And I believe there's a lot of people stuck in these denominations that really are unaware as to what their church really represents in the symbolism, in the style of worship. There's a lot of information there that people either just don't know or they've never even realized is part of what they assign themselves to or align with. People, there's a scripture that says people perish for the lack of knowledge. I believe that, and I think that applies across the board in many parts of life. If you aren't informed, you're going to fall short. You're going to miss out. That's a pretty easy way to say that.
Yes, that's sort of what we do here as well. We want to seek out information. We consider ourselves skeptics here, and it is all about asking the questions and, getting forward from that, finding out, and, it comes down to the evidence, a lot of physical-based evidence for a lot of us in the community, Nez, and assuming that from you saying that you are a Christian and things like that, where does the evidence come for you, if you don't mind me asking, or how do you, like Dave said to me the other day, Critical Cripple in the chat, we have a running joke where I say I'm agnostic, he calls me an atheist, and it's the question was, how do you live your life? Do you...
Go ahead.
No, go on ahead, say your bit. Say your bit.
Spirituality is part of each of us in my belief, in my experience, in my research. We have a spiritual nature that goes along with our physical, with our mind, our everything else. And our spiritual journey is indeed our own. We walk our own life path. We experience things on our own journey, respectively. And our experience is relative to each person. it's ridiculous to think that everybody can agree on the same things, not just with religion, but we all walk our own path. We experience different stimuli. We encounter different information. Some of us do our research, some do not. And for me, my belief is my own. This is where I am at along my path. I cannot give you a piece of evidence that lays it on the table for everyone that this is what is right for you. I can only speak for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm not here to preach tent revival and all of that. I just simply am trying to follow the path I'm trying to follow.
Well, that's, you know, as you say that, I would easily say that I didn't know that you were a Christian for at least maybe a month and a half, 2 months.
I try not to shove it in people's face. You know, Jesus said you'll know their fruits. So I'm trying to bring forth the fruits in living his words instead of just hollering them out. And you know what I mean? I'm trying to just forgive people that hate me. Bless those who curse me. Actually do that and see how that works. So that's what I'm trying to do.
But that, in my opinion, would boil down to your character as a person. As I've said in the description, you've always made me feel welcome. You know, there's never been a problem on any of that as well. Like, and I usually enter your chat streaking through it with a little dance emoji or something like that. You know, it's it's not the very politest way to come into a chat. Hello, shake your hand. No, I'm helicoptering through the chat. There you go. You know, you know,
you're Rip Taylor throwing confetti through the chat. Yeah.
But it doesn't.
But the best testimony is example. If people can see love coming through me, if people can experience the good things, then one must conclude that you're doing something right. You're at least putting in the effort. And I think a lot of people conduct themselves in their lives that there's no accountability for their behavior, that they're free to just behave as they wish, even in the negative fashion particularly. You know, all faiths pretty much across the board can agree that what you put out there is what you're going to get back. Call it karma, call it fate, call it what have you. You know, I can certainly attest to that being true. Even the Wiccans and Satanists can say that what you put out there is going to come back to you. So I can attest to that being true in my life. I don't know about anybody else here, but I can speak to that.
Well, I put out what I hope to get back. I can't say that you do always get back what you put out. You know, it's not the law of three or anything like that. But, you know, I find that if you help people and try and be a nice person, then people will be nice to you. If they don't and they want to walk over you, I show my evil side, tell them to go and fuck themselves. But it boils down to me, you know, Nez, the character. I find that your character is a good person. You know, you do these things, you know, and you are who you are because of who you are.
Thank you.
You know, more so that I don't think that, you know, I have seen interviews with people like Ray Comfort and Kent Hovind's son, and, you know, these are mainstream Christians. They're out there, they're preaching, they're making money off it, doing all this here on YouTube, TVs, the whole lot. And I've seen interviews with them where they've said that if they didn't have the morality of God, that they would be out killing all around them. You know, it's God that keeps them from doing that, and the morality, the objective morality that they get from God that keeps them from doing that. And that just boils down to me that they're fucking evil bastards. You know, I don't think if God didn't exist that you would instantly go out and start killing people. I don't think it's in you as a person.
I mean, we all have an evil side to our human nature, absolutely. And the devil can't make us do anything. It all starts in your mind and your imagination. You're tempted to do things or follow down a certain path. As for, you know, I can't speak for the other people you mentioned, but I'm trying to, you know, again, live the example as best I can. We're all imperfect. None of us are perfect. But I think a lot of people forget that none of us stand in judgment of one another either. And I think a lot of people just take that up and decide to spread negative and hatefulness based on being in judgment of one another. You know, that's something I'm trying to avoid, at least in my chat, at least in my channel. You know, I get that we're going to disagree. I get that we come from different backgrounds. But because we disagree does not mean we have to be rude to one another. It does not mean we have to be hateful to one another. You know, there has to be a certain basis of basic human respect. The freedom to allow one another to choose what they choose and still be peaceable about it. You know what I mean?
It sounds very like a humanist, yes.
Well, I came from a bit of a humanist background when I, you know, was on hiatus from Jesus for a while. I never stopped loving Jesus, but growing up in the kind of church I did, I didn't see any real power. I didn't see any real evidence. I saw the same people going to church on what I believe to be Sun Worship Sunday. That's why it's called Sunday. And I, of course, attest to the Sabbath being on Saturday, starting at sundown Friday, etc.
That would be more Jewish,
when you
yes.
grow up seeing the same people throw money in the collection plate, have the same empty worship services surrounded by all the symbols and with very profound esoteric meanings that have nothing to do with Christ, it's kind of a hard way to come up. You're hearing about Jesus, but you're surrounded by Illuminati, you're surrounded by Luciferianism, you're surrounded by Freemasonic. It's really quite an oppressive atmosphere to grow up in.
Now, you mentioned the Illuminati and things like that, and we have discussed before there is a few conspiracy theories that would be known as conspiracy theories that you would lean towards, Nez, yes?
Yes.
You did mention earlier, now that this phrase may sound like I'm being an asshole, but you mentioned earlier about scripture and wanting to go forth and find the knowledge. But then I find, not anybody who believes in conspiracy theories, we all have our own favorite, but I find with the basis of religion and having that there and believing in the supernatural and things leaves you open to, not to say that they're worse, because we all have our opinions on religion, but to other disadvantages and other people trying to take advantage of you, other myths, truths that are out there, because, you're open to that. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
If you didn't believe in the supernatural at all, then every conspiracy theory that, considers supernatural and magic and things like that, you instantly get rid of.
Right. And that's, again, a relative experience to each person. We all walk our own path, and some people are open to that experience or acknowledge the spiritual side. Some people do not. If you do not acknowledge the spiritual, if you've made up your mind that that's all bullshit and, blah, 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 then what's going to change your mind? Nothing but a personal experience is going to change your mind. There is no book you can read or person you can talk to necessarily who can change your mind if you've already decided that in your heart.
I get that. Now, this boils down to the wee private joke between me and Dave that we mentioned earlier, and my name before becoming Mathpig was Math Magic Pagan, because the bit in the middle, the magic was things I've experienced yet cannot explain, and I have had them personal experiences. And it does leave me, questionable, and, as Dave puts it, I live my life as God doesn't exist, even though I've had those personal testimonies. You go to court, personal testimony is no good to nobody.
Right.
You ask 5, 6, 7 people that have all seen the same thing, they all give different stories.
Exactly.
So,
because we're all different people.
Yes, we're all different people, but then that boils down to the fact that it is unreliable. So even though I've had those personal experiences, I still don't think that it may have been supernatural. It may have been coincidence. It may have been something we just don't understand yet, or there's a lot of different possibilities, and it boils down to the probable. So it's like, what's more probable than this accidentally happened, or this could have happened, or that somebody that I can't see any evidence of come down and did it for me?
Well, I think that's going to lead us to the issue of faith. Faith is the evidence of the substance of things not seen. And not everybody
That's Romans,
steps
isn't
out
it?
in faith. I'm a person of faith. I have faith in things that I cannot see. And I'm at a place in my walk, in my life, that I'm okay with that. Not everybody's okay with that. Everybody, is different. Some people need to see or think they need to see or hear whatever it is they think they need to see or hear. But if you subscribe to Christianity, you have to know that Christ walked the earth. People saw him, and people were still hating him and stoning him. They still killed him.
But that's just a story in a book.
That's your experience. On my side of the fence, that really happened. So when you come from two different places, you're going to, naturally interpret these things differently.
Well, what leads you to believe that it is true?
The things you can't see, the things I can't show you right now, what's in my heart, the condition of my spirit, the condition of being comfortable in my faith, the evidence of the power that comes from an active prayer life, just things along my personal journey. I've called God on his bluff, and I've got to say he's never let me down yet. That's my personal experience.
Again, that could be, coincidence. Like I know we're really nice, and I said I'd try and be nice here, and I'm going to sound like an asshole this entire conversation towards you. You knew it was coming.
There's nothing you can say that's going to bother me, man.
In saying that, you were a wee bit reluctant to come on. It is. I can understand sometimes there is Christians in the community that like to mouth and scream and shout and make a scene about themselves and dying to get on other people's channels. Now, I have to say, Nez was a wee bit reluctant to get on here.
I was a bit shy, yeah.
I've been poking at her for about a month because she just wants to be her. She just wants to go and do her thing. She isn't out like fucking Jill or Praise or any of these people and screaming and shouting. So,
No. No.
I will probably sound like an asshole the whole way through this, but at least it's out there now. At least it's out there.
But no, I think once you reach a certain place in your life, you need to be comfortable with what you believe in, be comfortable in your own skin, and allow yourself to explore, to learn, to grow. I think a lot of people close off their mind to possibilities once they find a certain set of things that align with how they feel.
Well,
I think it's always important to always at least be open to learn something new. That helps you in your spiritual walk as well as the practicality of everyday life. We don't know everything. None of us know everything. That, I think, is one thing we can all agree on.
I'll agree on that. Yes, it's fine to say I don't know. That's the main thing.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, but then this is what I'm going to. How do you know that the experience that you had, and if somebody else had went through the same experience and been in your position, was possibly a Muslim or Shiite or some other religion, and they experienced that and attributed it to their God? The excuse or the reasoning that they would say is faith. Now, how do I know that it's theirs or yours or what? And this is what it boils down to. It's just personal experience and personal testimony boils down to opinion. It's just your opinion of what had happened.
It's and to maybe a better way to say opinion is experience. Again, our spiritual journey is each our own, and we make the most of that, or we don't make much of it, depending on who we are. Some people don't even acknowledge the spiritual side. Some people just believe in the physical world, and there's nothing else, and to them, that is their reality.
Well, there's no way to test. You see, this is the thing. It boils...
Right. That's where faith comes in. Once again, the people who want the hard evidence written before them or something, there comes a point where you've got to have faith. People have faith in the scientists that they know what they're talking about.
No, sorry, Nez. There isn't faith in the scientists. There's peer-reviewed papers and evidence, and we have done exactly what I'm discussing with you. We have had these... Other people have done the exact same thing and got the exact same results. I'm saying
that people are taking it on faith that they're being informed by people who know what they're talking about. I'll go there and say that. And I think a lot of people take it on faith that the people in charge, that the people voted into office, that the people who represent these organizations such as NASA, et cetera, that they have the public's best interest in mind. And there's hard evidence to prove that, no, not all these people have people's best interest in mind.
Now, saying that, and the evidence you get from people and listening and stuff like that, I don't know what your opinion is on this channel. I know that you do watch it because I found it from you.
I love this channel.
Fuck me. Really? Like, he spreads misinformation. He recently, within this last week, had a discredited doctor on. It's... The information, even at the minute, that he's spreading about the C word is very, very bad. It's against the actual scientific evidence. It's against what's out there. And if people listen to his advice, it would kill people.
In my personal walk, I've been a fan of Richie from Boston, a Christian, a truther, for many years. And where he's at is pretty much a good a measurement of where I'm at. And... the coronavirus
you're smarter than he is. You're smarter than he is. I've had interactions with you and seen him. You're smarter than he is.
I love Richie. He calls himself the asshole with the laptop, but he's my asshole with the laptop. I've even been on the receiving end of a good old Richie ass chew. He knows that's true. But one thing about Richie, he will apologize when he F's up.
Under his own opinion, though, he will apologize if he thinks he's effed up. A lot of the information he spreads is wrong, though.
I'm just talking again my personal experience. I've communicated with him privately. You know, he's been good to me. So.
Oh, I will not discredit him.
I agree with a lot of what he brings to the table. So, you know, we're not going to agree with everything that everyone anywhere says and does at any given time. You know, I understand that. Richie has gone down a few paths that he should not have gone down, and I've been one of the people that subscribe to him, that have come to him privately and go, hey, yeah, you might want to watch out for it, you know, and fill in the blank of what's been questionable. So, you know, I've not been a blind follower of Richie all this time, but a devoted, loving follower of Richie. And when he messes up, a lot of us subscribers, you know, will be like, hey, Richie, you know, maybe you might want to change your mind. You know, so...
Still,
it's not like a Jim Jones thing where I worship Richie and follow every word he has to say. You got to test things, and even the Bible says to test things. So
yes, but that's what I'm saying. Now you say test things, but then when we test it and we don't get the result that we want, we fall back in faith because the Bible's covered its arse that way as well.
Again, all I can say is I can't explain away the faith that I have in the things that I do. I wish I could. I wish I could show you something that would, you know, make that change for people, but it's all a journey. It's all a journey. This life here is classroom earth. This is where we're here to learn, to grow, to be tempered, and to prepare our spiritual side for what's next, whatever you might think that is. So I do not believe that we cease to exist just because our mortal coil expires. I do not believe that.
So if, you know, to sound really fucking nihilist and all that there, why not just, you know, what's the crack with this practice run? Why must we be here to be put through these things? To be, like recently you said you were put through the trolls and all that, and I know personally that wasn't, you know, it's not a good experience. And
I know, and you've met some of them personally.
Yeah.
You've been in the midst of them, and you came through it as an atheist or an agnostic. You showed more of the love of Christ in doing what you did amongst all of those people, and there were people in there who claimed Christ. So
again,
you did a fantastic job.
It boils down to the character of the person. I think I'm a half decent guy, you know, and I'll try and do my best for people around me, especially my friends and the people that matter. But you cross me, I'll fucking stab you too. Like.
What?
I says, if you cross me, I'll fucking stab you as well. You know, we all have our bad side, but it's finding yourself in that situation. As you say, people identified as Christians and they didn't act that way.
No. I learned a lot through that experience of who my friends were, who they weren't, the real nature and true colors of people. Absolutely. And I wouldn't know now what I know if I hadn't gone through that horrible experience. And in doing so, I'm led to, in my faith and my walk, to love them, forgive them, because these were people I got to know privately off the tubes as well. And when you make friends with trolls, you take your chances, certainly. They each came to me and talked to me about what they do and who they are, etc., etc. So it's not like I didn't know. But I tried my best to have a friendly relationship with them, and for a while it worked out fine. But, you know, the true natures come out, and for me, the hatred and the negative that they would put out towards me, towards other people, just got stifling, like in a room full of toxic gas. You can't breathe. And there was no price worth paying to have a group of friends. You know, I don't need the number of people around me to feel validated as a human being. Better to stand alone and stand up and do the right thing than to have a group of haters and evil people around you. It wasn't worth it.
On that statement, I'll agree with you. I don't have many in real life friends because I don't be arsed with all of that. It's you know, if you're going to help and be nice and come around, and friends should help raise each other up. Friends are not here to put each other down. Right.
And, you know, there's reasons why that happened the way you did and why you walked in on what you walked in on that night. And you can put any excuse you want to on it. Hate is still hate. You know, the details really don't matter. When people don't have the ability to have compassion or forgiveness or any of those good things, then of course they're going to be negative and act in a negative way.
Not in saying that, right? Considering your beliefs as they stand now, Nez, after just making that statement that this crazy, evil, baby-eating atheist over in the corner acted more Christian-like than all these other people, I'm
Yes.
still going to go to hell, though, under your belief system, yes?
I don't know that. I assign these relationships personally as they are. Your relationship with God Almighty is your own, whether you acknowledge Him or not, whether you talk to Him or not, whether you believe in Him or not.
Well,
It
I can
is
say
of
no
my
to
belief
all.
that He knows all of us, and He made all of us, and our spirits long to be with Him. That's why the fascination for the supernatural, the paranormal, in my experience, that seems to make sense to me. Our spirits, know who the Creator is and ultimately long to be back with Him. I believe that.
Well, I can say, in my opinion, I don't believe that there's a Christian God. And I can say that I live my life as if there's not a Christian God, to the point where, as you know, I'm quite vocal, hence us being here, about my opinion on whether there's a God or not.
I think it's simply a matter that with someone like you, you've just not had that experience yet.
Well, I've had plenty
you
of
may or may
experiences.
not. You may or may not, but I pray that you do, because that's why we're here. We're here to grow. You were asking about why we're here. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to care for the world that He's created, plants, the animals, the oceans, the sky, everything. And the powers that be have just turned that all around into the absolute opposite direction, right down from chemtrails to social distancing.
Right, well, you see chemtrails. Now, you're mentioning conspiracy theories, chemtrails. Now, that has been debunked, shattered, destroyed so many times. Why do you not choose to take the evidence that's put there? There's no supernatural involved. There's literally just, Richie from Boston says they're dropping magnesium and baryon or whatever.
He's not the only one.
Okay,
and Mike
no.
Decker's, there's other ones I listen to.
Oh, there's lots out there, but I don't know of your YouTube list. I know he's on your... So when I say his name, I'm just randomly pulling him, right? So it's... people like this say these things, and the evidence has been there that, we've went for the knowledge, we've done the tests, multiple people have done the tests, we've checked it, we've went through it, there's no supernatural involved at all, and it is not chemtrails, it's contrails, they're just water condensation,
And I don't believe that at all, but that's okay. We don't have to believe the same thing about that. Richie also brought up Dr. David Keith of Harvard University. There's documentation that comes out of Harvard University that explains that, yes, they are doing chemtrails. Yes, it does have invalids in it. But they're giving a BS answer as to why they're doing it. They're saying it's to shield us from this or protect us from that, and in essence saying it's for the greater good.
I've seen bits and bobs of that, and I don't think what you're talking to is relative to the actual main contrails that are, that's going back a while. You have to go and check that. But have you looked into that yourself, or has someone just told you that and you've taken it at their word?
I've looked into this for a couple of years. Again, I've followed Mike Decker, who films the planes and the chemtrails. He's had a lot of study. He's had the hair test done, and indeed it did come up positive for barium, aluminum, strontium, and black coal fly ash. His site also offers documentation that explains, particularly black coal fly ash is a catalyst for many, many things.
What does this guy do?
Read to you.
What does this guy do? Like, what is he? He's got a YouTube channel.
Mike Decker, he's the one, he's got the Nikon P900. He films the planes spewing out the chemtrails.
No, I'm not asking about what camera he has. I'm asking what his qualifications are in this. Does he work in the shop up the street selling cereal and has a YouTube channel?
No, I believe I think he works with masonry and stonework. He has beautiful work on the front of his home that he did himself.
Right. So if that guy that's involved
in a laborer, and he goes out into the wilderness and rescues animals and people.
Lovely, nice person, great guy. I think masonry and all that, there's a wonderful skill, and none of that has any relevance to the scientific actual, studies of these at all.
Right, but he's just showing what he sees through his camera, and his thoughts on it are what his thoughts are on it, and it just happens I happen to agree with him.
Yes, but that's what I'm boiling down to. It's just an agreement and an opinion.
Well, no, it's there's documentation certainly he's posted on his channel as well as Richie's. David Yates is a poet in the UK.
Well, just for
also
talk's sake,
shouts
right?
out the chemtrails. He shouts about vaccines.
Okay.
He shouts about radiation. You know, I've been to many places and explored.
Just for talk's
many,
sake, then, Nez, right? This guy who's a masonry on the internet that has a YouTube channel that owns a P900, right? That
he's also ex-military, so he's
right.
familiar with
He's
that
all
as
these
well.
things, right? He's all these things, but he's not trained or specialized in that field. So if I sent you papers tomorrow from someone who was trained in this field, would you take their word for it because they've spent, say, 5, 10, maybe 15 years studying in this field, which makes it relevant to contrails? Would you take their evidence and their opinion on it?
I'll tell you one thing. If I had the hair test done and it shows up positive for what's been in my experience and belief, barium, aluminum, strontium, black coal fly ash being expelled from these planes, what does one say when you have the hair test done and you find those things? Mike has had those tests done.
Mike, but this again, what do you do when you have these tests and these things happen? What you do is you repeat these tests to confirm your hypothesis. You don't just do it the once and go, right, that's it, done. I've got that's it, it's over and done with it. You have to repeat it. You have to have, this is what science is, and this is, what it's based upon. You have to repeat the tests. You have to get confirmation from other people.
I've experienced enough as far as not just watching videos, not just reading articles, not just talking to people and their accounts and their varying degrees of relevancy or what may be considered qualifications. There's people who've come forward with maladies and infirmities as a result of this kind of poisoning. There are health professionals that have come forward that talk about what happens to the human body when it has these heavy metal particulates in them.
Yeah, doctors can come forward.
I can't regurgitate all the articles.
Oh yes, I'm not expecting
done
to.
For you, certainly.
But when it comes to that,
I'm not just going on a whim just because I think Mike Decker's a great guy, etc. It's taken years to come to the point where I'm at, and that's the same for spirituality. Back to Jesus, I'm just comfortable where I'm at. I think all of us, have our own walk, and we find out what we find out along the way. This is where I'm at.
Oh, I understand
I'm at where Jesus is Lord. I'm at where there's chemtrails being spilled on us. I'm at where the Illuminati are the powers that be that have turned this world upside down.
Just to finish on
where
that.
I'm at.
But if you've got a doctor that comes forth and says, yes, these metals are bad and toxic, the doctor isn't saying that they came from that. You've got another person saying that it came from that. It's okay. I can tell you now that arsenic's bad, but I've no proof that arsenic's put in contrails.
And then you must consider, how are these doctors educated? Who runs the universities? Who gave them that certificate that says, hey, it costs this much money to be labeled as an expert in this field?
Right. Well, can
Again,
I say something?
You're taking it on faith that these people who've earned these degrees and paid the money for these degrees actually have the morality to do the right thing in the positions of power and respect that they have.
Right,
I do not believe that people, just because they have a lab coat and a certificate or a degree, that they have people's best interest in heart. We've been deceived by a lot of people with credentials, is all I'm trying to say.
Oh, I can understand that.
They can lie too. They can lie too.
Yes, people can lie.
And I think
but
a lot
evidence,
of people cling to what they say blindly just because of the lab coat and a piece of paper, or what association they belong to, or what university they went to.
People can lie, but evidence doesn't. That's the whole point of getting someone else to check it. Because if this guy comes out and says X does Y, then the other person up the road tests X and gets Z. This is how we test these things.
I can't say I can be dissatisfied with the level of research. It's not just Mike with his camera, but he does look up the documentation. He does talk to people one-on-one. He's had his own hair tested. He's done his homework. So it's not fair to dismiss him just because he doesn't have a lab coat and a university.
I am not dismissing
diploma.
him because of it. But
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying it's
is, if
unfair
I proposed,
in general, I believe.
yeah,
to
if
do
I
that.
proposed work from this person, you see, it comes now. You know, from what I'm hearing from you, Nez. Again, I'm just warning. This is me being an asshole. You know,
That's
there's a
okay.
guy on the internet that breaks stones that's went and got his hair tested and it came back with this conspiracy theory. And I say to you, what about this person who's got 10 or 15 years in experience in the field and you tell me you can't trust them because they could be doing it for, you know, nefarious reasons.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yes, that, you know, so I'm showing you, you're automatically thinking that all these people are like that.
I'm coming from a place where most of the people in power in anywhere are in alignment with the same people driving them.
Right. Right now we are
and
on
their
the
intentions
internet.
are not good.
Right now we are on the internet. Right now we are connecting through the digital waves and all this here because of technology. Why put your faith in the science like this, but not put your faith in science that you don't understand? You understand and take, you know, the internet and things like that, especially children now, take things for granted. You know, the internet and things like that, they just grew up with it. It's there. And taking that, you know, these people just taking it for granted. I've lost my trail of thought, sorry. I looked at the chat. I'm blaming religion as bullshit. Religion and bullshit wants to know what size your hat is and completely fucking threw me off my trail of thought.
Oh, I know. And religion itself, remember the Sadducees and Pharisees were religious, but they were also the ones plotting to kill Jesus. So religion does not save mankind. You know, from a Christian standpoint, it's only Jesus that can save mankind.
Well, religion,
you don't need to go to a building. You don't have to subscribe to certain, you know, things that man-made laws and stuff do as far as dogma and
but why put your
concerned.
faith, like, this is what the point I'm trying to make. I've just got it back again. You're taking for granted the technology that's in front of you because you're so used to it, and it's not that you understand it, but it works. It's grand. It works. I don't have to ask questions.
And faith works that way. Faith is, you know, you believe in something you can't see. Blessed are those
but
who
I have
believe and
evidence.
haven't seen. That's why I believe.
But you're conflating terms, though, Nez. You know, the reason that I have what you would say is faith in the TV to turn on in the morning is because it's done it every single day for everybody that owns a TV. I cannot say the same about God. Every single Christian, every single day.
That's okay for you to feel that way.
No, but this is the point I'm making. Why put your faith in this science, but not put your faith in the other science or in the scientists that actually do it? You're thinking that these scientists are nefarious and run by the Illuminati and evil.
I'm not thinking they all are. I'm thinking a lot of them are.
Well, if I showed
because
you
there have been professionals who come forward, especially about the C word, about what it is and what it really does and how it is transferred and how it isn't. And I listen to those health professionals that aren't coming from the mainstream, that aren't spreading what I view as propaganda.
So
I do listen to some people that have those lab coats and degrees. Not all of them are bad. A lot of them take their lives in their hands by coming forward.
Personally, the mother of my daughter was confirmed today to be working with someone in an old folks home that has been tested positive for COVID. So she could be having COVID. Her father is very sick, and he could be dead in 6 months. You know, all masks were worn, everything was done. All of that does not negate the fact that these things in the science is true, though. There's nobody got a conspiracy out there to, you know, to try and kill her grandfather.
Right. At the heart of it all are nefarious people with nefarious intentions. Again, not for the benefit of mankind. There's a real agenda of population reduction going on as well, which is why we're seeing this COVID thing happen now. Again, we're just coming from two different perspectives, two different points of view. You're where you're at because of what you have learned along the way. The same thing as I'm where I'm at because of what I've learned along the way. My faith in Christ comes from personal experience. In my spiritual journey, when I act in His name, when I read His words, when I pray in the name of Jesus, things happen. Things happen that I personally have not been able to deny or dismiss. or explain. You know, you've said you've had experiences that you can't explain. Well, I have too, honey. Only I'm giving God the credit in my world for those things. Some people do, some don't.
Well, then that boils back to what we said at the start. You agree that it's okay to say, I don't know. What you're saying...
It's wonderful to say you don't know.
Yes.
None of us know everything.
And if it boils down to it, and we're going to get into the old terms and fallacies and stuff like that, what you've been doing for most of this is what's known as the God of the gaps. Rather than admittance of I don't know, then we just say God.
There's a lot I don't know, but in my heart, in the things that I can't put on the table before you all as solid evidence, my experience, I believe what I believe. I do have faith, absolutely. There's nothing that any atheist or anybody who differs in my opinion is going to alter my walk. I acknowledge that spiritual side of me enough that, you know, I'm comfortable talking about it. I don't feel threatened or harassed or anything. It's just, we all have our own experience. This is me. This is mine. And you don't have to understand it, and you don't have to agree with it.
Well, that's it. You know, the whole reason for this channel, and as I've said multiple times before, I do not like surrounding myself with people that agree with me on a large scale. It's a lot more fun to surround yourself with people that disagree with you, because you can have these conversations, you can find out where people come from, and yeah, it's definitely worth, it's more fun for me. It's definitely more fun.
I've really enjoyed that aspect of your channel, and there's no reason that people who come from different points of view can't discuss things civilly, without insults, without antagonization, without labeling, without anything negative. We can all speak our piece, and we can still certainly be capable of, you know, letting other people believe as they believe. It doesn't change what you believe if someone else believes something different. You know, your experience is your own. If you want people to respect what you believe, then by gum, you best be respecting what other people believe. You know, I didn't say believe what they believe, but at least, you know, give the respect that you want.
You can respect the person, you don't have to respect the belief.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I know I've come across maybe as a wee bit pushy and a bit of an asshole tonight, but...
It's a drinking game. Every time Mathpig says the word ass, take a drink. Okay.
Well, Nez, we're coming up in the hour-long mark. We're going to probably jump over to an after party, if that is all right, because I don't want to, as I say, you were a wee bit reluctant to come on, and I
was happy. I was just nervous.
Yes, well, you've put up with me now, so you're not too bad.
How'd I do? Did everybody yell at me in the chat? Hi, everybody.
In all honesty, that was the fastest interview I've had in a long time. That was very enjoyable. The conversation didn't drop at all. It was very, very good. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I think there's a basis there because we're slightly comfortable with each other, and you see me helicopter through the chat, so I can say anything I want.
Thank you for being here. I'd look forward to joining you again another time if you see fit. I'd be happy to.
Well, if you can, Nez, if you can hang about for another maybe half an hour or so, if I can get a few of the regulars in and, you know, just say hello and maybe poke and prod you a wee bit themselves.
Go ahead. No, I can't see chat, so you'll have to let me know. So.
Oh, no, they're going to actually come into the room with us.
Oh, okay.
They're going to come into the room.
I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not trying to do anything to mess things up. So this is my first experience with StreamYard. So
you're doing great. You haven't. We've got no icon, but you're on the mobile. We understand that it's 100% fine. So what we do?
Yeah, go ahead.
What we're going to do is we're going to swap over to the after party. If anybody wants to follow us over there, Dave, just before you leave, I think you're tired. If you could pop the link to the after party in the chat. The link for the hangout is in the chat as well if anybody wants to jump in and join. And yeah, we'll see you back in about 5 minutes. So,
in 5 minutes.
Everybody, thank you very much for coming. I really do appreciate it. And as I said every week, if it wasn't for the viewers watching and Nez, especially yourself coming on too, you know, I'm just a crazy floaty head talking on the internet.
But I love you anyway. Thank you, Mathpig, for everything.
All the links for Nez are in the... I didn't put your Twitter down, Nez, because it even took me a month to get your Twitter. But Nez's channel link is down there. As I say, there's a lot of nice people. We just chill, relax. Nez paints. We listen to good music. I've found very good music just through listening to hers and the Old Stoners channel.
Mathpig, can I say one more thing? I'm sorry to interrupt you. But today, I didn't know exactly what day, but tonight in my stream, I'll be celebrating 1 year of this absolute craziness of me going live every night to have fun with my art. If anybody cares to join, I've got wine, I've got cake.
Is that tonight?
Come one, come all, and celebrate my 1 year of going live. Oh my goodness. So there you go. Shameless plug. I'm sorry about that.
Right. For some reason the scheduling did not work for. Hold on. We'll try again. I'll try and schedule another one. I hate the new update. Yeah, Nez, you push yourself. Shill. Hey, tell everybody all about you. Just, again. Live production. Right. Today's date is the 10th.
I'm telling everybody to come as their favorite fake channel. We've had lots of imposters run through my chat, so, you know.
Right, Dave, I just scheduled another one that says it's for 12 minutes, so it's definitely there. I've just found it. Yeah, there's now 2 of them, Dave. There's loads
What
of
are you
Right. We're going to go to the one that starts at 21:20, not the one that starts at 21:23. Go to the one that starts at 21:20. That's a freaking...
Okay, I'm just going to pretend I know what you're talking about, Mathpig. I'm going to nod and smile. Okay.
Yes, yes. Dave said the after party didn't appear, so I scheduled another one, and now there's 2. So...
Uh-oh.
Yes.
What will you do?
Yes, we're going... Once everybody's just going to have to put up, and I'll put the link to the proper one in. So, on that note, everybody, thanks for coming. I appreciate you all. And as Nez, thank you very much. So, we will oink and out. Bye-bye.
Bye.